I am more than happy to introduce Mehmet Yashin. Well, Mehmet is one of the, according to my criterion, one of the important poets of Cyprus. And I think the fact that his work has been translated into 24 languages speaks for itself. I want to thank him for accepting my invitation to be here with us today. And I also want to thank Evagoras for taking on the task of interviewing such a multi-layered, author of such a multi-layered work. And if I may, I was thinking about if I should say this, Mehmet, but I want to say it. Quoting Seferis, who said that from Cyprus, Greece looks a little bit wider, I would say that reading Mehmet's work makes Cyprus look much wider as well. And I am very happy to introduce Mehmet Yashin to us today. Thank you very much.
Ευχαριστώ πολύ, Kris.
Thank you, Kris, for the introduction. Thank you to everyone for being with us. Today we have the task, let's say, to introduce this concept, Mehmet, of the multiple literary belongings and how it ties to translation, among other things. And I just want to say, building on what Kris was just saying, that yes, reading your work, it makes Cyprus appear wider, but it also makes us understand the many different localities, let's say languages, cultures, to which we belong in many different ways. And for me, working with you, this has been the most important thing that I discovered. It allowed me to understand a lot more about where we are and what it is that makes us, let's say, Cypriot. Okay. So I want to just start, if you can tell us a bit more about the events that are being organized in among others, Cyprus, Turkey, Greece, London, which tie to the 40 years of your publishing activity.
Λοιπόν, ευχαριστώ πολύ. Καλώς όριζα. Τώρα μιλάει μόνο αγγλικά. Although I usually speak in mixed languages, and my poetry is also like that, and my novels, it is a strange habit to put in catalogs, this is Greek, this is English. Εγώ θέλω, μιλάω λίγο αγγλικά, λίγο ελληνικά, λίγο τουρκικά. Είναι γλώσσα μου. Well, this 40th anniversary events of publication of my first poetry collection, αγαπημένο μου νεκρό στρατιώτη, it spontaneously appeared. Even my publisher, last night, he was in Cyprus, my editor. He was surprised because they may change the publication plan of my works. So he asked me why I didn't inform. Well, I didn't know. It spontaneously happened. And I'm also surprised. I usually don't leave my room, my home. Last night, the night before another event, I told that I hardly go from my bedroom to from other rooms rather than my bedroom and study. But many people from Constantinople, Athena, Lefkosia, Limassol, Lemossos, interested in to organize things. It began April 24 with some press release. Then a concert happened in Nicosia from my poems which arranged to the music many years ago. I will not go to the detail, otherwise it will be very long and you will get bored. our talk. I don't want you to leave here boring. I just enjoy and, you know. And after the concert, God, what's happened? Some book launches and panel discussions happen in Nicosia and both parts of Nicosia. Then Evagoras, Vanezis, and Panayotis Mihail, he is not here again, disappear. Open an exhibition, very interesting exhibition in a small place, cozy place, conceptual one. There is a catalog, exhibition catalog in Greek, in English, and in Turkish. You can see from Moufflon Bookshop's table. And the parallel exhibition open in Kyrenia Arts Rooms, much more archival exhibition. And some speakers came from prestigious literary arts journals from Turkey, my agent, my publisher, editor also. And the exhibition in Nicosia will open in Constantinople in December, and it will continue till next year. Evagoras will go there and to represent me. I won't be able to go there. I will make a Zoom meeting because 3 days time I will be in Athens. There are some 40th anniversary events in Athens as well. And I'm glad actually something spontaneously happened, not only my Greek publisher trying to organize something. Spontaneously, Constantinopolides people, Greek people from Istanbul took initiative. They have a bookshop there, Obolitis, and cultural center, and they are going to organize a panel discussion. So, I mean, it goes like that. I mean, there is a documentary, it's still shooting, and it will distribute in the beginning of next year. Apart from that, we have some publications. So this 40th anniversary events celebrating in 2 countries, and all Greek-speaking, Turkish-speaking world actually. In London as well, Cypriot diaspora organized such a, for organization, all communities, all languages, such a strong poetry performances. And I repeat trilingual poetry performances in London, which I did in Sivar, Severis Foundation. And they recorded it. You can see on their website how it was. Actually, I just few days ago informed Evagoras, but I don't want it anymore to be in this 40th anniversary event. I got invitation from Italian Greek community, Grecianici community, and Constantinopolides who live in Lecce, Grecia, you know. I have a connection with them. One of my publishers is Grecianici from Italy, not from Costanza. These are different people in the show. So I said, okay, I will come in April, but please, I'm enough with this saranda everywhere. So I'm grateful to these people, and I'm glad that they did all these things. So it's made me to think that, oh, they read my poems, you know, because how do I know? Bookshops, Moufflon knows better than me because they sell the books, but I do not know. So that's enough, or should I talk more?
Well, that's enough
since
for the
they get
events.
fed up with me.
I think it would be interesting maybe if you can speak about that moment when you yourself realized that Mehmet, the person, and Mehmet, the literary persona, are both multiple beings belonging to all these different communities.
It's not moment, it's actually a process. And I think it's went to my childhood, but realization take process, you know? Because the ideology that it came to me You belong to this community, you belong to that community, you belong to this religion, that language, this language, which was not happen. I mean, it's not true. Ebro di gulastom in Helenica. Allah, my mother tongue, in a Turkic. So, I was born in Neapolis, Lefkosia, and it was very cosmopolitan neighborhood. I don't know if I repeat this somewhere else as well. I definitely told some Turkish papers in Istanbul many years ago. I didn't know that I'm Turkish, Muslim, whatever, and I still, I'm not sure if I am still, I mean, in that age, because as you know, Turkish Cypriots are very secular and they don't need to go to mosque. We don't have any social event in mosque. We go to mosque only for funerals, nothing else. Or in Bayram times, if you are a religious person, you go. But our Greek Cypriot neighbors has a wedding and baptize and this and that, so every kategoriaki makes an ecclesia. I was small and they made me to carry candles, cautions for, so I mean, and so which religion I was belong to. Also, I have I had, I mean, in our family story, it's speculation, but we know that we have some Catholic Latin Cypriot ancestors, even some of my relatives written in English and French and living in France. They recently passed away, you know, Taner Baybars, second cousin of my mom's side. But on the other hand, my mom's came from kind of a established Ottoman Mufti family that they produce poets, you know. So supposedly my grandma tell that she's Ottoman. She never said that she's Turkish, and she died early 70s, you know, before the occupation. And my father came from Istanbul. He grew up there till 17 years old, and he is accepted as one of the national poet of Turkish Cypriots. And you know, also multiple Turkish. When they ask me, oh, you are multilingual, I say, oh, well, I am multilingual in Turkish, first of all. Gipriaga, Turko-Gipriaga, Istanbul Turkish, Nicosia, well, intellectual pupils Turkish, then Ottoman Turkish, all come together. Then in the later stages, I learned Karamanlidiga. I even wrote a novel, partly Karamanlidiga. It just came out in Ellada Ores Abelasis. You can get it from Moufflon in a week time. So,
can you talk to us a bit more about Karamanitika?
Okay, I will. Well, also these languages, because, you know, I mean, we had Armenian neighbors, very mixed. It's not a Greek Cypriot dominated place. Greeks came from Jaffa, like Kyriakos from Cyprus Mail. He was my neighbor. And our other neighbor from Alexandria, which I visited many times. So we don't call them Greek. We call them Alexandrian. There was a Turk from Rhodos. We call them Rhodesian, you know. And I'm not sure if our language is Turkish as well, because some of my relatives spoke in English at their home. They married with a Scottish lady. So, you know, I mean, all this definition, they try to Turkish-speaking Cypriot, then in a sosto. Muslim Cypriot, it's not exactly. I mean, you know, I mean, these definitions, we try to understand communities here, but each definition bring its problematic aspects again. Karamanlidiga, why I interested in Karamanlidiga? I studied Turkey, Istanbul, Ankara, Athens, Banabistum Athenia, and then I went to Birmingham University. I have to, because I was deported from Turkey. So I went to London. I couldn't survive in North Cyprus, of course. And studied, well, I work on multilingual Cypriot poetry and shifting of identities in 3,000 years long history. And I observe these shifting identities through my own family. One of them define itself Ottoman Muslim, other than British or Catholic, post-colonial, one of them Turkish national flag, you know, I mean. Then when I studied, I made a search on all Hebrew writing, Semitic languages writing, Cypriot poetry. I discovered lots of literary sources which our official literatures cover up in both sides. I mean, I realized that Cypriot poetry began 200 years earlier than our official. So it's not 7th century BC, but 9th century BC, because we have some Phoenician writing poetries. It's not poetry, it's tombstone writing on all some hymns, religious things, or vase writing. Like, I search them as an archaeologist, you know, as if I am an archaeologist. But this is how we create poetry. If there was a Phoenician nation state, be sure that there will be a huge anthology on ancient Phoenician poetry, you know, but there is no ancient Phoenician, contemporary nation states of Phoenician. And during that period, I came across also Karamanlıca. Then I discovered that Karamanlıca published, last book of Karamanlıca, published in Nicosia, 1936, and they treated it that language. I said, okay, I will write partly Karamanlıca novel and make it alive languages. Because since people like me alive, that kind of a hybrid Greek-Turkish things must be alive, you know? So, I mean, I can't talk about whole novel now.
Okay.
Let them to buy novel and read. Yeah. Karamanlıca. Δεν ξέρετε Karamanlıca, τι είναι Karamanlıca?
We're waiting for the revival to...
Συγγνώμη. You see, this is the problem. We don't know even our culture. I mean, most popular language in Ottoman Turkey, it's believed that Ottoman language written in Arabic letters. No, it is palace language. It is upper class language and religious language. Like Latin language represents clergy and upper class and aristocracy. Mass majority in Ottomans write Turkish in Greek letters because they were some Orthodox Greeks, Turks. Orthodox Turks who doesn't know Turkish, who doesn't know Greek. Okay. Of course, Greek historians and Turkish historians analyze these things differently. They say, okay, these are Turks ethnically but became Orthodox. Greek says, oh no, they were ethnically Greek, but Ottomans made them forget language, whatever they were. But very particular community, they have a church. Their church is not like a typical Greek Orthodox church or Turkish mosques, because Turkish mosques and Greek Orthodox church architecturally identical. They have a kind of a Selçuk style, Central Anatolian or Azerbaijanian style, you know, architecture. So they write, and this language became popular. Actually, first Sultan Mehmet, when occupied Constantinople, Sultan Mehmet was actually Mummy's son. And Mummy was very Greek Orthodox. He built a church for his mom in the palace, and every morning they went together to pray in the Ayarini church, and the afternoon he went to kill Greek Orthodox after praying early morning in Greek Orthodox church. So, and he asked the patriarch to write Orthodox believers, faiths, what is it? He wants to learn, but he can't read Greek. He knows Greek from his mom. He can read Greek, but he's speaking Turkish. So the patriarch wrote whole faiths of Orthodox for him. So this is the first Karamanlıca book actually, but it's apocrypha. I mean, only for Sultan knows and Patriarch knows. Later on, the community produced Anatoli newspaper, which was a bestseller newspaper. All Turkish modern literature began in that newspaper. They translated all Western books into Turkish, in Greek alphabet, Robinson Crusoe, all whatever you imagine. So this is the Karamanli language. Well, I shouldn't go more because otherwise we will not be able to talk about all these things. But you see, I mean, multiple identity is the nature of Turkish literature and Greek literature. But since we try to establish a pure nation states, we try to forget other hybrid cultures, literatures. Even in literatures and language, we had a hybridity. Forget the religion, arts, and other parts of, the life.
So I wanted to hear this part about the Karamanli language, because the question, I guess, for me is, this new novel, let's say, that is coming out, when you were writing it, where did you project that it belongs? Because it's a tradition that has sort of been lost, and now you wrote a novel about it.
I think this is a story. I have a very good friend on SOAS, Turkish Studies, head of the Turkish Studies, University London. Actually, the head of the Turkish Studies, who spoke amazing, all dialect of Turkish, is a Greek person from Greece, Yorgos Dedes. He's a friend of mine, and many universities actually, even in Vilnius, they use, Riga, they use this ores abelasis, donos mu yine denine sosto, lasos. Anyway, he called me and he said to me, Mehmet mu, how many people will understand your book? Full of Greek Orthodox reference in Turkish language, and then suddenly, next page, shifting, Greek writing Turkish. How many people? I said, Yorgo, we are perhaps 50%, but we are alive, yes? We are alive. We know both Greek culture and Turkish culture by heart. We belong to both of them, and we still alive. So let them to see that we are alive. Even 50% will read this. They treated us as if we are an ancient dead community, We are not. We're still here. Yeah. So this was, and also, I don't know, they asked me many questions when this book published, in Turkey as well, of course. They surprised. I put the alphabet in front of the novel so Turks can read that Greek parts. Perhaps I also make a piece inside of me, because I was not able to write anything in Greek after the division and so forth. So I write Turkish language in Greek letters. So perhaps psychologically, subconsciously, I try to, and hopelessly, I try to unite myself, I don't know. It's poets and authors do something, write some things, usually do not know what they do, okay? All these things, what I say is speculation.
But
you expect me to say another reply?
No, that's...
No?
That's great. I just think it just shows, like when you want to talk about translation, for example.
I know.
And then it starts by having this... assumption that you have a text and you sort of need to translate it in order to make it belong to another context or another language. So with this book, I just want to talk to the translator who will do that.
Yeah. Let's talk about, because this book now, every year, Columbia University in New York organizes a seminar program around that particular novel. And now, just recently, William Strobel from Michigan University published a study about it in Princeton University Press. I think in Christmas time it will be in market, I think, the book, but Princeton University Press began to make advertisement on it. And this year they wrote to me that, Neorpheus Foundation and Sabancı Foundation sponsored this program. And Columbia University Hellenic Department sent a message to me. This is our only program that Turkish foundations from Turkey and Greek foundations from Greece, they sponsored it. This department, I don't know, everyone who work on translation studies knows Lawrence Venuti. He is the pioneer of translation studies, and he works in Columbia University at the moment. And Columbia University had a kind of an institution, SALT and Columbia branch in Istanbul. Of course, now Istanbul is horrible. They recently opened similar branch in Athens, and most activities shifted to Athens. In those time, it was in Istanbul. And Karen Van Dyke, who is actually the main expert on Greek poetry, recent Greek poetry and literature, and kindly he put my poems also in recent Greek poetry anthology, and I get recognition as a Greek poet, poets from Ellada. Spidimous in Ellada, Athena, anyway. She suggested a conference because I also teach many years translation studies at universities, Middlesex University, Cambridge, here and there. And in the translation studies, we usually teach two strategies, how we translate target language and source language. From source language to target language, you either create familiarization, so domestication, we call it, or you create not avoid the familiarization to make audience aware that this is a foreign book, foreignization. So this is two aspects. But this theories actually rooted from a very nationalist ideology, thinking that each nation state has different languages, detach each other, not any mixed languages or mixed lexicon, mixed or even dialects not exist. So simply one source language and target language. So when they read, they saw Ores Abela says, they said, okay, what is the target language here and what is the source language? And I also use in my poetry Greek lines as well. Suddenly I shift, I write Turkish and suddenly one line is Greek. And even I write Turkish, I put footnotes. For instance, recent poetry collection of mine published just end of this year, and most of them written in Athens. And there are some small poems written in Greek as well. I want to deserve being a Greek poet. I got invitation before all these things from Israel to go represent Greece there, Thanks God that I didn't go because COVID period began. And anyway, but then even if you write Turkish, mainland Turks couldn't understand. Not only because Turkish Cypriot, I use some Turkish Cypriot dialect or some different history and culture we have in Cyprus. But for instance, I wrote a poem about Dimitris, who lives in Thessaloniki, and he wants to make a project together. And I told about that how believer he is and how he dedicated himself for his beliefs, Actually, it's not about Dimitris, it's about Ayos Dimitris. But Ayos Dimitris, people in Turkey doesn't understand it. Why I make reference to Thessaloniki, They don't know this thing. So I need to put footnote about it in the back side. So you see, sometimes even it's not linguistic matter, it's a cultural matter. language is cultural matter, basically. You live in a culture, and this culture produces its own language.
It's interesting how we come about this idea of like that is rooted into the nation state, into separatism, into wanting to, find a little box that everything belongs into. And I just want to turn the attention to this line, this projection that we had at your exhibition in Nicosia, that came from something you wrote, which asked the question, γιατί δεν είμαι Κύπρος ποιητής.
Γράψω στο ελληνικά.
Ναι. And that Mehmet wrote it in Greek, γιατί δεν είμαι Κύπρος ποιητής.
Ναι. Well, I wrote it. I just mentioned that Penguin Books in London, New York, so forth, published recent Greek poetry anthology, last 40 years poets, and they include 46, 48, something like that, poets, and one of them is me. And there is no other Greek Cypriot poet, no other Cypriot poet, only me. Well, there is Eftihia Panayoti, but Eftihia Panayoti settled down in Athens, married with a Greek guy, became Greek citizen, and well, I'm not. I live mostly in Cyprus. So I share an Aura, Ektosias Aura in Athens also published, and they introduced me another anthology. They introduced me also borderline Greek poet, Okay, I'm borderline Turkish poet, borderline Cypriot poet, borderline British poet, okay, borderline everywhere. Then I get used to it. I will be surprised if they introduce me as a mainstream. Anyway, so one night I make a sarcastic sharing on social media. You know that in this country, they publish Cypriot poetry anthology, beginning with Greek Orthodox, and ending with Greek. And if that's Greek Orthodox, write in English, or again, he has no or she has no place in it, must be, or write in Greek Kypriaka, but Turkish Cypriot, again, not place in it. You must be a Greek Orthodox and write in Greek to get a part in the Cypriot anthology. It still continues. It's amazing. I mean, it's amazing. And our friends are editor. Our friends produce these things, These people they like Turkish Cypriots. They want peace, unification. But such a ideological dogma, they stuck, they never question it. I bought a new anthology from Moufflon. Again, all our friends in it, and only Greek Cypriot poets in it. None English writing Greek Cypriot, no, not Turkish writing Cypriots, not. So I made a sarcastic sharing. I say, γιατί δεν είμαι Κύπριος ποιητής, είμαι Έλληνες. Ναι, τώρα είμαι Έλληνες ποιητής. Okay, as a Turkish Cypriot, I couldn't find a place in Cypriot poetry anthology, but now I am Greek poet. Then perhaps being a Greek poet can open a space for me from Greece. I'm not coming from Nicosia, but I'm coming now from Athens. And I said, okay, you have to, since it will be a big loss for Cyprus if no one represents Cyprus in that anthology. So because Hellenism is united, so at least one Cypriot is there, so Hellenic Cyprus will be protected, So Cyprus exists in contemporary recent Greek poetry anthology. Kind of a sarcastic joke. But this younger generation like these ideas. And my Facebook sharing, actually, many people likes it, and they publish it online journals, Ogito.com in Turkey and some other places. So it became a public sharing in public internet journals. Then this guy chose 10 breaking point to present my poetry in visually in exhibition, and they choose this one as well. So perhaps I should ask them why they choose.
I chose it because I find this to be not a sarcastic question, but an impossible question. It's like why I am not a Cypriot poet. It's like you need a state that will recognize you, okay? But then we know very well that this state doesn't really exist, and then, it's your work and what you represent, I think, for younger generations as well, and we see this now with all these events we've been doing, is a little third space where other things can be performed and other things can happen. So, and that enact this hybridity, this belonging in multiple ways, and all at the same time. So multiplicity is not about choosing this or that, but you are this and that and that, and this can sort of continue to infinity, I would say. And I think your work opens up a space for us to see that, to see it happening. It's as you said about all the footnotes you need to include, to explain. And that is what fascinates me greatly. It's like I want a book full of Mehmet Yashin's footnotes. And maybe just that is in a, it's not for me as a reader, I mean.
You see, I am Greek in Turkish literature, and I am Turkish in Greek literature.
Yes.
Now in my Greek books, they put footnotes. So if you are going to publish such book, you need to each country which footnotes they put. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and that's also an act that the translator takes on, let's say, or it is this act of publishing, how different contexts, different countries require other treatments.
Actually, you said that well, I still think it's a sarcastic question because I actually represent, of course, Cyprus because all my experience is like that. I got lots of invitation, many different countries, and it's not official, but in life, in practice, I represented it in everywhere, even in Colombia, Mexico, China, Japan, not only Europe or Middle Eastern countries, Mediterranean countries. And I have a peace inside of me. Some people try to, I found it a little bit old-time question. You can be same time a Mediterranean poet, Turkish Cypriot poet, Turkish poet, Cypriot poet, post-colonial British poet or Jewish poet, Levant, Southeastern European, whatever. There are lots of boxes that literary theory like to create, and this existing system in different nation states demand it. So, and in my lifetime, when they invite me some international meetings, I look catalog which country right in front of me, which community, which language. So, and I say, oh, okay, now I represent this. Okay, I can represent this. I belong to all those things. I don't have any problem. The problem is actually old kind of understandings in literary discourses, which are, to be honest, they look established and canonized, but they are not anymore really represent in our era's literature. That's why official supports or all kind of formal official titles or publications means nothing actually. So I'm not that much uncomfortable. I'm comfortable actually about it. And each time when they translate you to other languages, it's also a fresh experience, I'm not talking about only in between Greek and Turkish or English, which are the Cypriot languages and cultures that we are familiar with. Actually, we really represent those countries, that languages, because we are connected with. But for instance, French or German or, Chinese or whatever, each time they make a different contents. Why they choose these poems to translate and not these poems, and how they present you. Even the book titles, when they put the book titles. For instance, my first English poetry collection, published 2001, it's published in England. And Middlesex University Press World Literature Series published it. The title, the translator chose the title, Don't Go Back to Kyrenia. Well, this is because it's published in Britain. We have English expatriates in past usually live in Kyrenia district, and Lawrence Durrell is still home in Balapais, Kyrenia. And this is actually an Ottoman rhyme, old Ottoman Cypriot rhyme. Don't go back to Kyrenia. If you go to Kyrenia, don't get married. If you get married, don't have child. If you get a child, don't make your child to stay. If you make your child to stay, don't make him married. It's go like that. And Lawrence Durrell translated this rhyme and put the bitter lemons of Cyprus in the front pages. So, they are familiar with this. Same collection, if they publish in New York, which now editors work to publish a new collection, they never imagine to put title, Don't Go Back to Kyrenia. You see, everything shifted according to the target languages, audience. And they choose poems also accordingly. For instance, Greek publications. They prepare lots of Greek publications before my Angelike Ektikides published in 2015, but I wouldn't accept it. I wouldn't, because it was so much concentrate on Irini Filiali Lengil stuff, Turko-Gypriofilimu, Eleno-Gypriofilimu. So, well, I am first a poet, then after that, I am a person who against Turkish occupation and who want a united Cyprus, So, I had an agent, American agent, and asked me to make a list which languages sell me easier, and I put Greek in the bottom. She said to me, I said, let's Greek to find my books from other languages. Then they realize that I am a poet and author, and then after that they translate me. Actually, these things happen. This is Ainalis found my books in Paris, in French language. And then he knows Italian as well. He got Italian publications of mine as well, and translated me not from Turkish, from French, Italian, and English. And that's how Angelike Ektikides came out, But it's still, he chose this title, Angelike Ektikides. I said, this is my first book in Greek language, and I'm a Turkish origin person, and from Cyprus, and what is this? Am I say Angelike Ektikides to whom? What is it? The Greek audience will read it. Isn't it strange? Well, he said to me, what would you suggest? Well, I suggest you to say, take care of ghost. Take care, caretaker. Because I take care of ghosts. I'm representing the ghost of old United Cyprus, cosmopolitan Cyprus. I am the ghost of it. So I take care of ghosts. So put the title, Caretaker of Ghosts. I have a poem like that. He said to me, εντάξει, αλλά δεν έχει λέξη caretaker στο ελληνικά. So we end up with Angelike Ektikides. You have these books, they can buy it.
That's very interesting. The idea of the ghost is continually found in your poems as well.
Yeah.
And you did mention that you are sort of a caretaker of traditions past. I think we saw this with grammatic as well.
Anne.
Yes. But I wanted to go back to this idea of the stepmother tongue that you have proposed in your studies. Just to give an example of how this experience of the ghost or of ghosting sort of informed the literary concepts you proposed for literary theory.
Well, now they study the concepts, the terminology I created, but actually I didn't intend to create this terminology. Italians put it in matricula lingual and it's turned into literary terminology, and they study also in United States. Everything's come to me in novels, in literary theory, since I have an academic background as well, through poetry, through my personal experiences. Spontaneously they came to me. This is the truth. Apparently that book, Stepmother Tongue, was the first poetry book for contemporary, recent comparative study of all Turkish language literatures and Greek language literatures comparatively studied. I hate to stuck on Cypriot studies. Also, I teach, I was lecturer in Banabistimo Gypris in Lefkosia, and I teach Cypriot studies, Turkish Cypriot literature, but I hate these things. I rather look wider Greek-Turkish culture. For this reason, I'm interested in what's happening in Pontios, writers, Russian, Greek minorities in Russia, what they write, Northern Macedonia, Turkish writing people, όχι μόνο Ελλάδα και Τουρκία or στην Κύπρο, definitely not only Cyprus. So this, I invited lots of people from different United States and many different countries who are known very well established, expert on Greek literature and Turkish literature and some other fields, interdisciplinary fields. When I was a lecturer at Middlesex University in London, and you will see my introduction there, stepmother tongue. I ask lots of questions, which is very difficult now. It's such a short period we have to explain. I ask lots of questions. For instance, there are lots of similarities, Pontios Greek and Turkish, Eastern Black Sea Turkish, you know, with lots of expressions. So, I mean, which mother tongue they have? They perhaps speak same mother tongue in different language family, you know, all in Cyprus, Turkish Cypriots and Greek Cypriots, not only their lexicon in a video lexicon almost, but also the sounds, the harmony of the language, dialect, is almost identical. If you hear the sounds from afar, you don't understand if this place is Greek Cypriot or Turkish Cypriot, but you understand that it's not a Galamarades or Garasakals, you know? So I mean, this kind of things. And stepmother tongue, I didn't mean only our relationship between the mainland Greek or mainland Turkish or this kind of things. Human being as an individual was born in an existing language, existing dialect, existing terminology. And we have to express ourselves, we have to complete ourselves, whatever language, lexicon we find it, you know? So I mean, actually all tongues are a step for human being as an individual, if you look at philosophical aspects, you know? And the poetry always try to create it new way of sayings, new wordings, new neolexis and ochimonoloxia, expressions also, you know, to enlarge human beings. Human beings be able to express emotionally, philosophically much more themselves, and also to open a space themselves as an individual while they are part of the community. They are also unique person, So all these aspects make me to talk about a stepmother tongue. But then it's now turned terminology. People came this year from Harvard University Literature. They invited me, okay, let's talk about your terminologies that you created in literary theory. What, did I create a theory? Actually, apparently I created another word which I didn't know. I just talk about that I read my poems in mixed language. In Evagoras in exhibition, I read my poems in Misolenica, Turkica, Ganglica, mix, Then I say, and my performance in Sivar as well, if you go their website, you will see it's mixed. Well, when I read one line in Greek or one paragraph, I don't repeat that paragraph in Turkish or in English. I read other paragraph in Turkish. Let them to understand. If they don't know Cypriot languages, let them to guess or learn, whatever. It's not my problem. This is my languages, okay? So I express myself with my languages.
Whilst
Mixed language. And they said to me, right, ask me, even invite me to Colombia, talk about mixed concept of mixed language terminology. Oh, is it terminology now? Okay, it's terminology. So I have to put a, dash in between mixed languages, so create it as a terminology again.
Yeah, I mean, it's the will and the capacity to invent stuff that best expresses the situations we are in. I don't know if we have any questions from the audience as well that we could take.
Mehmet Bey, what I really find very interesting is that you said that when your books are translated into other languages, where you'd use different type of languages, Ottoman Turkish, Turkish Greek, and Cypriot Greek, etc. So if a German publisher, for example, would decide...
Çok sorunum var o konuda. Alman yayıncılar konusunda sizinle özel konuşacağım. Defterime yazmıştım.
Tamam, çok güzel. If a German publisher would, for example, decide to take one of your poetry books and then decide to use the normal German translation for the Greek part, and when you go into Ottoman Turkish, they start using, for example, Old German, because we have German which has also other letters until in the Middle Ages. I mean, would you agree with this? Would that? I mean, it would give you a totally new art with the new translation. Would you accept that, or would it totally change your literature?
I have a German poetry collection, actually. There is a German poetry collection. I think you still got some. But as I said to you in Turkish, in Turkish literature in Germany is quite something else, They have their idea about what Turkish literature is, and I am too Greek for them. Okay, French and Italians, they have a Mediterranean concept, so they absorb me. Post-colonial concept, British people, they understand. But Germany is quite different. Usually, translators have their own right and freedom because they are recreator of your work. Of course, I say my opinions, my ideas. If I have some different suggestion, I tell them if it's a critical point. But if it is not, I wouldn't. Because now I learned that this is another kind of creation. It's not exactly my work, But of course, I say my ideas. Sometimes, some languages, you may follow different translation studies. Sometimes you put footnote, not use the different kind of dialects or Old German, New German, but some languages it's possible to do that. It depends on which languages they translated your book, what is the literary traditions and understanding in those countries and literatures. So, I mean, it's not a principal thing, it's a change in country to country, I guess. language to language.
Actually, it's about accepting a totally new product. Because if you trust your translator and you know that this person is going to do something of its own,
You know, each time is totally new product. Since you also know Turkish, you know that we have a genderless language.
I know.
I mean, in Turkish language, when I write, it's not clear if I dedicate it to a man or woman or cat or god, whatever. But when they translate, they need to translate according to gender.
And it changes the whole
course,
art of the book.
course.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I mean, for instance, my Greek translator, I asked him, can you make this one male gender? This one, okay, don't
Female.
make all of them, you know, female gender. So you try to make intervention if it's possible, but it's a new product, particularly from Turkish to European languages. Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
Thank you, everyone. Bravo.